Hello, this is MrChabry, and since in Black and White there's not really that many rock types or poison types, I decided in this episode we're going to cover both types. So let's first look at the rock types. Gigalith is likely to be your first choice when you're looking at rock types, and you do get access to Roggenrola very early on in the game. This thing has a 135 attack and a 130 defense, making it pretty bulky, and it can do a lot of damage. It's very slow with only 25 speed. However, if you have Trick Room on your team, this thing is going to be able to outspeed your opponent quite a bit. It is a little bit lower on the special defense side with only 70, and it does have a great ability, Sturdy, so you don't have to worry about getting one shot. The thing to know about Gigalith, however, is it is a trade evolution, so you'd have to trade it to get its final form. But if you're able to and you're really wanting to use a rock-type Pokemon, you can use this one. It's really great, and you have access to it very early on the game. Next up is Crustal, and of course Crustal is a bug rock-type Pokemon, which is an interesting typing. Unfortunately, I did forget to mention this thing in the bug-type video, so if you didn't notice that, let me know in the comments if you picked up on that, and if you're happy to see Crustal here. So I'll kind of talk about how well Crustal does things, and it is pretty bulky with a 125 defense, and it has decent attack at 95. This thing is a pretty good choice if you're really wanting a bug type. There's a lot of better bug types if that's what you're looking for, but as a rock type, it is decent. It does work pretty well if you're really wanting to use it. Next up is the fossil Pokemon that you're going to have access to, and the first one we're going to look at is Karacosta. This is a water rock type Pokemon, so it gives you that water typing if that's what you're looking for, and it has really great stats. 108 attack means it's going to be able to hit things pretty hard, and a 133 defense. It has higher defense than Gigalith and Crustal. This thing can take so many hits. You want to watch out for that special defense side because it's only at 65, and it is also really slow, which seems to be a common thing with these rock types. They're slow, but they're pretty bulky on the defense side. Karacosta is a great choice if you're wanting to use this thing. It gives you stab rock type moves, plus you can use the water type moves to get some access to some really good moves on that side. Now let's say you're not wanting a bulky rock type. You want an offensive powerhouse rock type. Archeops would be a great choice if that's what you're looking for. It's rock flying, which is a pretty cool typing. It has 140 attack, which is insane. 110 speed means it's really fast, and a 112 special attack means you can run some special moves and get some mileage out of that as well. And like I said, it's not very bulky. It's only got 65 defense and special defense, meaning it's going to be easily taken down. Plus, you want to watch out for its ability to Fetus. If you get down to half HP, it's going to reduce its stats. So this thing is pretty tricky if you're wanting to use it, but it can do a lot of good work. Really, in the game you pick from Karacosta and Archeops, and it's really up to you. Do you want more offensive power or some defensive power that can still do some damage? And the last rock type is, of course, Terrakion. And since it's a legendary, and in fact you only get access to it in Victory Road, you're not really going to be using this thing on your team unless you just want to catch it and use it for the Elite Four. But this is another solid Pokemon. It is a 129 attack and 108 speed, meaning this thing can hit hard and can hit fast. It's a rock type that's more offensive, which is pretty rare here in Unova. This thing can do quite a lot of work, and it's one of the strongest rock types, and not only that, one of the best fighting types in Unova. This is a solid Pokemon if you're wanting to run this thing. Now shifting over to poison types. There's not very many poison types here in Unova. There's only 3. So if you're really wanting to use a poison type, you're very limited on what you can run. The first one is going to be Scallopy. This is going to be the first one that you have access to as well. This thing has a great speed stat at 112. You're going to be outspeeding a lot of things, and it has a decent attack stat at 90, and it has decent defense at 89. Of course, its stats are not going to hold up in the late game. It's going to be decent early on when you get access to this thing. And it does have the bug typing, which is pretty neat. But other than that, it kind of runs out of its usefulness in the later game. And even in later gens, they actually buff this thing to make it even better. But you can run this thing, and it could do some work for your team. So now looking at the literal garbage Pokemon, Garbador. This thing is pure poison. It's the only pure poison Pokemon you're going to have access to. And it's actually designed to be a little bit more of a bulkier Pokemon. However, its stats are not actually great enough for it to be a bulky Pokemon. It only has 80 HP, 82 defense, and 82 special defense. It's decent if you're using it early on, but it's not going to be doing much later on in the game. 95 attack is decent, but there's a lot of better Pokemon to run instead of this thing, and being pure poison type, it really doesn't give you much in terms of usefulness in your playthrough. So this would be one that, if you want to challenge yourself and make it a difficult experience, you could run this thing. However, you're better off picking another Pokemon, even the other 2 poison types, over this piece of garbage. Now, if you're wanting a bulky poison type, a Mungus is the way to go. This thing has a 114 HP, and that's going to buff up its kind of middling defenses if you look at it stats-wise. However, the HP does help it out, and it does have access to some great moves that can actually heal you up, such as Giga Drain. So if you're wanting to run this thing, you can use it to heal up your Pokemon. You can also give it items like Black Sludge, and that's going to heal it up as well. Plus, if you have the hidden ability Regenerator, you're going to be able to heal it up as you switch out. Say you don't have Regenerator, say you have Effects for it. Well, that could be useful too, because if your opponent makes a contact move, there is a chance that they can poison, paralyze, or make themselves fall asleep. So this thing's actually really great in terms of a defensive poison type Pokemon. And with that grass typing, that also gives you some access to moves that can actually take care of other types, such as rock, such as water, such as ground. So this is actually a solid choice if you're looking for a defensive poison type Pokemon. So there it is, the rock type and the poison type together in one episode. Are you going to choose any of these rock types or poison types for your playthrough? Let me know down in the comments, and I will see you in the next Pokemon video.